It was an adventurous season for Josh Allen in 2023. What does assessing the entire picture tell us about how he fared and what needs to happen in 2024? We're breaking that down today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting podcast, and I am your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, folks, time for a big conversation. We're going to break down Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills quarterbacks in 2023, and really get into our performance review series from the player's perspective. We've done the coaching staff, we've done the general manager. Now it's time to focus in on these players. And throughout this, we're going to unpack so much information, not only assessing what the Bills have so we can very intelligently talk about what they need, but we're going to get into the contract dynamics, how they can address these needs, how big of a need each position group is. So some meaty conversations coming your way. And we're kicking it off with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills quarterback. So let's dive into it. Josh Allen, Bills starting quarterback, 2018 first-round pick, number 7 overall. Josh is 27 years old. He turns 28 in May, so very much still in the prime of his career. He's entering year 2 of a 6-year, $258 million contract extension. And the Bills, of course, will have to use this contract, Josh Allen's contract, as an opportunity to create cap space. Surely they're going to do a base salary restructure to Josh Allen's deal, which will create $23.1 million in cap space. They got to do it. At some point, they're going to want to not do it, and I think that's a conversation for another time. But for now, they need this cap space. They need to restructure to free up that $23.1 million. And here's the reality of Josh Allen and his contract. He has very quickly become a bargain of a starting NFL quarterback. He's at that $43 million a year range. And the quarterbacks now, the best ones, Herbert, Burrow, Jalen Hurts, they just signed their contract extensions. They're getting $55 million a season. And so I'm thinking that at some point, the Bills are going to have to get Josh Allen caught up to where the top quarterbacks in the NFL are getting paid. But right now, this is an absolute bargain. Like Josh Allen's like outside the top 10 in terms of highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And you saw this happen with Patrick Mahomes. And last year they redid his deal a little bit to catch him up to where the other top quarterbacks are. And I'm sure that will happen at some point for Josh Allen. I don't think that's a this year thing. I think they have to restructure and get this cap space. But then I think in a future year, you're going to want to take the opportunity to catch Josh Allen up and maybe figure out a new creative way to create cap space while manipulating Josh Allen's contract. As for his 2023 review, what I want to do here is put him through that same lens that we do a quarterback that the Bills are facing. So whenever the Bills are facing a team, I break down their quarterback and I give you a lot of splits. Well, today, we're going to give you all of those splits for Josh Allen to really assess how he performed statistically in 2023. Then we're going to get into kind of talking about the narrative of his season and then what needs to happen in 2024 before we get into Kyle Allen, depth quarterbacks, and, of course, like how they're going to attack the backup quarterback spots. I have some thoughts on that. But let's put Josh Allen through the quarterback treatment, if you will, and talk about his season statistically. So in 2023, Josh Allen completed 66.5% of his passes, 253 passing yards per game, 29 passing touchdowns, 18 interceptions, and a passer rating of 92.2. Of course, with Josh Allen, you always have to mention the rushing production. 111 rushes, 524 yards, 15 touchdowns. Those 15 touchdowns setting an NFL record for rushing touchdowns in a season by a quarterback. Now let's get into his splits. And these splits are going to include the 2 playoff games. I think that's important because it gives us an even bigger sample size of Josh Allen with Joe Brady to factor into these metrics. And to let you know when I say he's ranked 10th or 20th or whatever ranking he is, that includes the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of passing attempts across the 2023 season. So the 32 guys who threw the most passes in 2023, and then we're going to talk about where Josh Allen slides into these metrics compared to his peers. So Josh Allen's average time to throw in 2023 was 2.87 seconds. That's the 10th slowest trigger in the NFL. And, you know, Josh is never going to be a fast-triggered quarterback. That's just not how he plays. He's too good at extending plays and winning outside of structure for that to ever be a low number. But that is the lowest number for his career. His career average, including this past year, is 2.95 seconds average time to throw. So he's down to 2.87 seconds, the fastest of his career, but still relative to NFL quarterbacks, 10th slowest out of 32. Josh Allen gets the ball out of his hands under 2.5 seconds, 47% of the time. When he does that, he completes 78% of his passes. That's number 1 in the NFL. So Josh Allen, number 1 completion percentage in the NFL when he gets the ball out of his hands in under 2.5 seconds. His passer rating is 96.9, which is 15th. When he holds onto the ball over 2.5 seconds, which is 53% of the time, completes 55% of his passes. That's 22nd in the NFL with a passer rating of 89.4. And that's 15th in the NFL. Now, a big reason that the passer rating is not that good, it's going to be interceptions, right? He had 12 interceptions on throws that he held the ball for longer than 2.5 seconds. That's the second most in the NFL behind Sam Howell. So that's going to put his passer rating in a lot of these metrics kind of middle of the pack. We'll talk about turnovers here in just a bit. Average depth of target for Josh Allen in 2023 is 8.6 yards from the line of scrimmage. That is 8th in the NFL. It's also the lowest of his career. His previous career low was 9.1, which was a few years back. His career average is 9.5. Last year it was 10.2. So Josh Allen, basically a full yard and a half lower average depth of target this year compared to last year. And again, the lowest of his career, 8.6 yards from the line of scrimmage. 12.7% of Josh Allen's throws were 20 yards or more down the field. That's what we call a deep pass. That's 10th in the NFL in terms of frequency. On those deep throws, 20 yards or more down the field, Josh Allen was 29 of 82 for 962 yards, 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. 35.4 completion percentage. That's 21st in the NFL. Passer rating of 73.1. That is 13th. And so obviously the downfield passing offense for the Buffalo Bills, something we're looking to be a lot better in 2024. Josh Allen under pressure. He's under pressure 35% of his dropbacks. That's 16th in the NFL. When he is under pressure, he completes 49% of his passes. That's 18th in the NFL. His passer rating is 59.9, which is 23rd in the NFL. When he's kept clean, completes 74% of his passes. That's 8th best in the league. Passer rating of 102.2, which is 14th best in the NFL. And again, that passer rating when kept clean would be a little bit better if he didn't have 9 interceptions when not facing any pressure. Josh Allen was blitzed 35.4% of his dropbacks. That's the 8th most frequently blitzed quarterback in the NFL in terms of percentage of dropbacks. When he is blitzed, he completes 64% of his passes, which is 13th in the NFL. Passer rating of 98.7, which is 10th best. When he's not blitzed, he completes 68% of his passes, which is 12th best in the NFL, and a passer rating of 90.2, which is 20th. And again, 15 interceptions when he's not blitzed, and therefore the passer rating not where you want it to be. Play action. You guys know I care a lot about this. Play action frequency, 22% of the time. That's 19th in the NFL in terms of frequency. With play action, Josh Allen completes 71% of his passes. That's 10th best in the league. And his passer rating is 117.4, 7th best in the NFL. Do the thing Josh Allen is great at more, right? You've heard me say that. You'll hear me say it a lot more, too. Without play action, Josh Allen still completes 65% of his passes, which is 14th, and a passer rating of 86.4, which is 20th. Last number I'll mention is screens. Josh Allen throws a screen pass 9.2% of his passes. That's 24th in terms of frequency. He does complete 92.3% of those throws, which is 3rd best in the NFL. And his yards per attempt on screens, 5.4, which is 14th in the NFL. So in terms of yards per attempt, the Bills are above average in terms of the NFL when it comes to yardage gained per screen play. All right, so I gave you a bunch of numbers. We're going to talk about those numbers here a little bit more in the next segment by really assessing the 2023 season for Josh Allen and talking about what needs to happen in 2024. So be sure to stick with me. Folks, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to be certain that you have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the right tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. And hiring's easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats right now and might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. And they even just launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Folks, I'm obsessed with DoorDash. I love it. The convenience of DoorDash is simply unmatched. We're all busy, right? In my household, I got a 4-year-old, and she's got a lot of activities: dance, gymnastics, swim. And so, finding time to make dinner can be challenging. Well, we just go to the DoorDash app, and it's dropped off right at our front door. We can get food from our favorite local restaurants. We can get groceries dropped off. You need something from the gas station or the pharmacy, they'll bring that right to your house as well. So check it out. Save yourself some time and not stop having to worry about what's for dinner. Here's the deal for you. Get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more in your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCK23. Subject to change. Terms apply. Again, that's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more in your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCK23. Subject to change. Terms apply. So let's really break down this 2023 season for Josh Allen. Strange start to the season, right? Horrible game against the Jets. We're all excited, right? Week 1, Monday Night Football, New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers' debut against Josh Allen. You're looking for the man to put on a show, right? You got Super Bowl hopes, and Josh Allen goes out and lays an egg, right? 4 turnovers. Wasn't great. And he certainly bounced back with some strong performances over the next 3. But the start of the season just felt strange for Josh Allen. We heard him say things like low positive. He wasn't playing the game the same way. He wasn't doing as much off script. He wasn't running nearly as much. He just didn't look the same. And it certainly felt intentional, right? Felt like the team was kind of preserving him. They were maybe asking him to play the game a little bit differently to make sure that he's available late in the season and all that type of stuff. Just didn't look right. And he had some sloppy games along the way. But one thing that I'll say about Josh Allen and some sloppy games is that he always cleaned up his messes, always. The only games that he didn't walk off the field with the lead were the Cincy game and the Jacksonville game. And then I guess, of course, the Kansas City game, but put his team in position to have a tie game when he walked off the field and certainly was in position to throw the game-winning touchdown. But for some of the games where it kind of got away from Josh and had some turnovers, pretty much every time he walked off the field, he had the lead. And then Josh started to look a lot more like Josh when Joe Brady took over. And I talked a lot this week about the identity crisis that I thought the offense had going back to week 1 of 2022 with Ken Dorsey into really the point where he got fired. the offense had an identity crisis. And I think that impacted Josh Allen tremendously. And when we think about the rough start to the season for Josh Allen, I guess the Bills offense in general, there was a lot of new coming into 2023 that I don't think that we're thinking enough about. We're not mindful enough of this as we consider Josh Allen's 2023 season. You're, first of all, becoming structurally very, very different with the 12 personnel, right? I mean, you were literally never a 12 personnel team in the previous years. Now all of a sudden that's going to be the foundation of your offense. You know, you're working in this first round pick, Dalton Kincaid. You've got 2 new guards. You got a new lead running back, 2 new backup running backs, 2 new wide receivers in Hardy and Sherfield. And is it any wonder that early in the season, Josh Allen just reverted to throwing the ball to Stefon Diggs a ton? Right? Do you remember those conversations early in the season? You're just like, you know, Josh needs to get these other guys involved. Well, did we think enough about how much new there was? It's a big deal. Structurally, 12 personnel, Dalton Kincaid, 2 new guards, a new lead running back. Your depth at receiver is completely different. It was a lot. There's a lot to consider. Again, no wonder he reverted to just throwing the ball to Stefon Diggs a ton. You know, the offense is trying to become this high-efficiency offense. And, again, it just lacked an identity. And one of the big storylines of the season was Josh Allen's rushing production. And here's some numbers here that I think are very, very telling. With Ken Dorsey in the 10 games with Ken Dorsey, it was 10 with Ken and 9 with Joe Brady. In 10 games with Ken Dorsey, Josh Allen averaged 4.2 rushing attempts per game. With Joe Brady, 9.2 rushing attempts per game. And I know that those are different points of the season, and Josh, later on, as things became high stakes, certainly more willing to run the football. But that's massive. That's double. It's double, right? It's not like 2 more attempts per game. That's literally more than double. And so I think they got to thread that needle. They got to figure out, I get it. Like, you want to preserve Josh, but like, you also got to win games. They got to thread that needle and figure out how to make that work to the best it can throughout the entirety of the season, so you don't get yourself in a hole again. But at the end of the day, like all this stuff I just said, Josh Allen had a big-time impact season and remains an NFL quarterback that is elite. I think he's firmly the second-best player in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes. And candidly, Josh Allen had a better season in 2023 than Patrick Mahomes. Josh is going to be top 5 in NFL MVP voting. We already know that. He led the NFL in touchdowns and yards. Like, for as much of it was an adventure, as much as there were times where it just didn't feel like Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen, the guy had an elite season once again. And turnovers, I think it's a general conversation. If you think about some of the national talking heads, they're going to talk a lot about turnovers. That's going to be a big part of the discussion. Well, it was the lowest turnover-worthy play percentage of Josh Allen's career at 3%, 16th in the NFL in turnover-worthy play percentage. Early on in the season, Josh had a lot of turnovers. He also had 0 luck. Like, anything that was possibly in position to be intercepted was intercepted. And some guys have made some crazy good plays. And obviously that normalized down the season. Josh Allen wound up having like a 55 touchdowns to 21 turnovers or something like on the season. So like more than makes up for it. But the turnovers are really they're going to take away from having good conversations and about an elite player. And some of that is on Josh, but the reality is, I don't think a lot of, I don't know. The conversation around Josh Allen has been terrible since Wyoming in 2016. So I'm pretty used to it at this point. All right, so we had a big-time impact season. We talked about that. So what, the 2024 outlook for Josh Allen, this is the stuff that I'm looking for. Number one is just maintain your status as an elite NFL quarterback. Right? That's important. Maintain the performance level that we've become accustomed to since 2020. Obviously, evolving the offense with Joe Brady is going to be huge. And I think they need to mix the spread stuff with the heavy personnel stuff, right? How are you going to get 2 tight ends going, maybe some 2-back stuff going, but also your spread formations and that type of stuff as well. I think threading that needle and evolving the offense, under Joe Brady, being mindful of Josh Allen and his skill set. I'm excited to see what that looks like as opposed to, Joe Brady basically running Ken Dorsey's offense, but trying to put his stamp on it, midway through the season. That's a tough ask. So I think that's really important, is those guys getting in the lab and figuring out what they want this offense to look like. And a lot of that's going to depend on the personnel. This wide receiver room could look very, very different. But what you that you do have is Kincaid, Knox, Diggs, Shakir, James Cook, right? Those are going to be huge parts of your offense. You'd love to get some big-time additions to the receiver room, particularly a high drafted rookie, maybe some veterans, some bargain bin veterans. You have to figure that out. But molding this offense with Joe Brady and Josh Allen is so important. I'd love to see Josh Allen spend some time with the guys this offseason, right? Extra time with the guys. He's always there for OTAs and mini camps and all that type of stuff. But, you are going to have some new pieces this year. And I want to see videos of Josh Allen throwing, on his own terms with the guys. I don't feel like we've seen that in a while. And we're wondering, well, why is Josh Allen not getting everyone involved early in the season? Maybe there were some reps that they could have had. And I want to see Josh, it sounded like listening to him after the season, he felt like he was going to be more intentional about that type of stuff. And he even said in that NBC interview that, there's some things that he needs to get back to doing. And you've heard me talk a lot about Josh Allen's off seasons and how he positions himself to maximize his own career and his own prime. I'm looking for Josh to make some tweaks there for sure. Looking for improvement to the vertical passing game. I think a lot of that's going to come back to the receivers and adding some more down the field receiving talent, but also scheming it up with Joe Brady and Josh being more consistent there as well. And then I think another thing in 2024 that I'm really looking for is avoiding those lulls. That 3-5 lull in the middle of the season, that put this team in a position where they had to just mash the gas pedal for the last 5 weeks of the regular season, right? Like no margin for error whatsoever. And so one thing that we haven't seen this team have really is either that first round bye. I'd love to see this team be the 1 seed and not have to play in the wild card round, or be in position where you're not really going to change what's going to happen with the result of week 18 so you can rest some guys. But I think if you can avoid those lulls and strive to be that 1 seed, I'd like to see what this team can do with that bye week and being a little bit more fresh in the postseason, because I feel like that's kind of been an issue. So more consistency in the regular season is potentially going to earn yourself that little bit of rest going into your postseason run, as opposed to, well, it's been the playoffs since week 12. Well, eventually you're going to run out of gas like doing that, right? That's a hard level to sustain for a long period of time. Don't have lulls. Don't go 3-5 across an 8-game stretch to position yourself where you have to rally like that. Be the team you're supposed to be all season long and avoid that. All right, we're going to talk Kyle Allen, what the Bills need at quarterback, how to do it here in just a second, so be sure to stick with me. Folks, I got to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the most fun, easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. The format is incredible. It's just you against the numbers. It's not you against thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. It's just you against the numbers. Here's what you do. You pick 2 or more players, you select more or less in their projected stats, and you place your entry. That's it. It doesn't take long. Picks can be made in under a minute, and then when you win, the withdrawals are super, super quick. I love all these sports on TV. Love them even more when I have a Prize Picks entry going into a slate of games. It just makes it that much more exciting. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's talk Kyle Allen, what the Bills need to do at backup quarterback. I have some fun nuggets that I'm going to weave into this, so make sure you're dialed in here throughout the entire podcast today. Kyle Allen, a 2023 free agent signing, 27 years old. He turns 28 in March. His contract is expired. He completed his 1-year, $1.2 million contract, and he is set to become a free agent. As for his 2023 statistical output, he didn't attempt to pass at all for the first time in his career. He had 13 rushes for negative 13 yards, which means he did a bunch of kneel downs, and we thank you for your service, Kyle Allen. That's what we love to see. Backup quarterbacks taking knees at the end of the game. As for his review, I mean, what do you say here? He's a backup quarterback that we didn't have to see play and do anything meaningful on the football field. And that's a good spot to be. We've been very fortunate. The Bills haven't had to see a quarterback not named Josh Allen start a game in 88 consecutive games. Josh Allen, the longest streak of consecutive starts at the quarterback position with 88. And the next closest is a mile away. Going into the season, and I don't know who it is right now because I can only find the top 5 as I tried to research this. Going into the season, Josh Allen was number 1. And, of course, he started every game. So his streak is now at 88 in a row. Number 2 is Justin Herbert at 49. He obviously got injured and missed like the last several games of the season. Number 3 was Trevor Lawrence at 34 games. And, of course, he missed a game. C.J. Beathard started. Patrick Mahomes was at 34. He didn't play in Week 18. Aaron Rodgers was at 25. And, of course, he got injured in Week 1. So Josh Allen is at like 88. And the next person is low. I mean, the most you would think they were at is somewhere in the 30s. I don't even know who it is, but it's Josh Allen is like at least 50 games more consecutive games started in a row than any other quarterback in the NFL. And that's exciting, and it's nerve-wracking all at once. Because you love the durability, and you love that he's been available, but you just wonder. You just wonder when he's going to have something that's going to keep him out of a game. And it's probably going to be something significant that would have to keep him out of a game. But does this luck run out at some point? Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. So we'll talk more about backup quarterback in just a second here, but I wanted to establish here that, look, what do I say about Kyle Allen? He didn't play. Did he look great in the preseason? No, he certainly didn't. But what does that look like in 2024? So if he's brought back, as we get into the 2024 outlook, if he's brought back year 2 in the system, year 2 with the team, does that put him in a position to be a little better? I'm sure it does. I don't think Kyle Allen's going to be in demand this offseason, right? Signed a 1-year, $1.2 million contract with the Bills. He's tight with Josh Allen. You feel like this is probably where he wants to be. And so if the same offer's on the table for Kyle Allen, is there something out there that has a material difference in terms of what's available to him where he's going to go somewhere else? Are you going to take 1 year, $1.2 million and probably for sure be the QB2 for the Bills? Or is there a 1 year, $3 million deal and he's got to beat out somebody? Who knows? And it feels like he's going to want to be in Buffalo. That's kind of my feel for it. And I feel like he'd be certainly better positioned to help this team and feel more comfortable about helping this team in year 2 in the system and, of course, with the players. So the overview here on the position room is, what do they have? I like to ask myself 2 questions. What do they have? What do they need? Well, what do they have? They have Josh Allen, an elite NFL starting quarterback, and they have Shane Buechele, who was on the practice squad all season long. They signed him to a futures contract. He's in the mix. So what do you need? You need a QB2. Shane Buechele can come back and be the practice squad quarterback, and that'd be great. But you need a QB2. Is that Kyle Allen? Maybe. Do you draft a quarterback? And here's where I feel like every year we have this conversation. We're going to do it once again. I am in favor of drafting a quarterback. I think it's not a bad idea. But the roster ability conversation is really where it gets tough. If you're going to roster 3 quarterbacks, okay, it's Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, and draft pick. All right, great. But the Bills typically don't roster 3 quarterbacks, and most teams don't. So are you going to draft a quarterback and roster them and be one snap away from a rookie mid-round pick being the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills? Or do you carry 3? That's the roster ability conversation that always makes it tough for me. So we'll see how they attack it. And here's one other stat that I'll bring up. We sat here and talked about Josh Allen, 88 games in a row. You love it. At least 50 more than the next guy. It's a beautiful thing. But 66 quarterbacks started a game in the NFL in 2023. which tied the record of most quarterbacks starting a game in a season collectively by the NFL from 2022. 66, both seasons. That's more than 2 per team on average. And in case you're wondering, 11 of those 66 were only one game. But the NFL, the quarterback depth in the NFL has been stressed like never before the last 2 seasons. And Josh Allen's sitting here with 88 games in a row. And boy, oh boy, I dread the day I have to watch somebody else start a game at quarterback for the Bills that's not named Josh Allen. I dread that day. But we got to be realistic, right? Like, is there a law of averages? Is Josh Allen just going to be this bulletproof guy? Is he really the next Brett Favre? What did he get to 207 in a row or something like that? We'll see. But whether you're one snap away from Kyle Allen, one snap away from a mid-round quarterback, it's hard to really come away with the right answer for backup quarterback. For me, I'm probably keeping this low investment. I'm probably going to bring Kyle Allen back for 1 year, $1.2 million. I might draft somebody, and then we'll figure it out with Shane Buechele and get the right room around Josh Allen. I think for as much as we talk about quarterback depth and having to play and what that looks like, it's kind of secondary because the quarterback room is there to support the starter. Kyle Allen's job, Shane Buechele's job, is to help Josh Allen play on Sundays with how they practice, how they attack the meeting rooms, their what they are like on the sideline. All of it is geared towards Josh Allen's performance. And then from there, all right, if you got to play, then we figure it out. And so you want to have a competent player, but you also want to have the right support in place for Josh Allen or any NFL quarterback room. That's what you want for your starter. And that looks different from starter to starter, but you still want to have that support in place that's going to help your quarterback go out and be the best that they can. So a lot to consider there. And that's why I like Kyle Allen year 2, cheap, experienced. All right, I can roll with that and then draft somebody and figure it out from there. If you draft them and you're like, okay, got a little something here, then maybe you roster him. Maybe you feel that way, and maybe you think you can live with Kyle Allen on the practice squad and deal with that. I don't know. It's a lot to consider there. That's why Brandon Beane gets paid the big bucks. But we know that they have Josh Allen. They need some backup quarterback. Maybe that's Kyle Allen. Maybe that's a draft pick. Maybe it's both. We shall see. But that's my outlook on the Buffalo Bills quarterbacks, reviewing 2023 and kind of setting the stage for our off-season conversations at quarterback. And we're going to build Brandon Beane's to-do list here. So the first thing we're adding to his to-do list, backup quarterback. And we will uncover more and more of that as we work through these performance review conversations. Next up, we'll get into another offensive position, whether it's running backs, tight ends. We're going to get to them all here in the coming weeks. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.